Hello everyone, welcome to Illustraca. In this video, I'm going to tell you how you can create a structural DBR for a RCC building project. So in this video, I'm going to explain what are the components you should put in the DBR, and obviously the DBRs you will be creating in MS Word or similar kind of softwares, but I'm not going to show that in this video. I'm going to tell you what are the components you should put and what will be the order. Again, this is one of the approaches. Obviously, every structural engineer has their own approach. I'm going to tell you in general, you can put as much as data if you want. So let's get started. So whenever we talk about a structural pre-analysis DBR, so why I have added this pre-analysis? Because before us, you can say completing or before doing the design of the structure, we have to or we need to submit a design basis report or you can say detailed report to the clients or to the authority so that they can check and they can comment on that. Okay, so that's why I have written here this pre-analysis. So we will not add the design results, or you can say we will not add the typical design calculations for our structural elements. So in that we will only put the information which is required to analyze the structure. Okay, and you can say the fundamentals of the design parameters, and then if it is approved by the client or by the authority, then you can go for the, you can say you can add the typical design reports, or you can say typical design calculations. Okay, so obviously when we will be doing the structural analysis in different softwares, you need to add the software, what will be the approach in the software, everything you need to add in this pre-analysis DBR. Okay, so let's get started. I will tell you page wise that you can, again I am telling you, you can add as much information as you want, but these are the basic things that you should put in the structural DBR. So suppose first we will have one page, so I will write let me take a box. So we will have the first page. Okay, so suppose this is my page 1. Okay, in this page 1 there will be nothing like suppose here you will have the title of the project, or you can say the title of this document. You can write, I think it is better to write the title of document. Okay, so it will be like structural design basis report for, then we will have the project name here, project name. Okay, then we will have at location where this project is going to be, project location. Okay, and then yeah, obviously your company name and logo. So company name, logo you can add here obviously. And if this is done by some realtor or you can say some other execution companies, you can also add that there. Okay, after that you can add who will be doing the execution work or whose project it is. If it is not directly from your side, then you can add, like suppose you are working as a structural consultant, so here at the bottom will be your company name and logo, but here as this project is will be done by the other companies, you can write for or by this company name. Okay, so this is the first page. It is kind of, you can say, cover page that we create. So you can adjust this as per like your approach. You can adjust these things. So you can add other informations also here. Okay, fine. So this is the page 1. After that, then we will have the page 2. So let me go to the page 2. Okay, so this is my page 2. Now what are the things you should put in this page 2? In this page 2, obviously first you can create a table here. Actually you can create a table like this, and what are the things you should put in this table? Okay, suppose this is my table, first table. Okay, so in this table you should I'm just writing the data of page 2. Okay, so what are the things you should put there? You should put the project number. Like if you are a structural consultant, obviously you will be doing numerous projects, so you need to add the specific number or code that you have given for this particular project number, whatever it is. Okay, then you should put issued, or I can say revision, or revision. Okay, so you will be writing the revision number and date. Okay, so like R0, R1, R2, R3, like this. If you have changed the DBR, then you can like revise it, so it will be R1. Then if you have any comments from the client side and you want, like they want you to change few things, then you can make it R2 like this. Okay, so the revision number and the revision date you should put there. Then the third thing you should put there, like prepared by, the general things, prepared by, like who have prepared this design basis report, so you can write the name of that person or that engineer. Then you can write who have checked this DBR initially, so checked by, like from your company who have checked this, you or someone else, someone senior who have checked the DBR after creation. So again there will be name, then authorized by, like one of the like engineers will be signing or will give the seal of the like for the structural design. Okay, he or she will be approving the design or approving the DBR. So who have authorized the design basis report, so the name of that person, and then the signature and seal you need to put there, signature and seal. Okay, so these are the things you should put in the page number 2. Okay, so this, I hope it is clear. Authorized by means suppose you have created a company, like you have a structural consultant, and obviously you must have that authority from the local body to approve the structural design, approve the DBR. Okay, and you will have a seal also, so maybe name of your name or whoever is having that authority, his name and his or her name, and the signature and seal you should put in this page number 2. Okay, so then this page 1 and page 2 are the basic information that every any, you can say, document must have, right? So then we will begin with the third page. Then we will start with the page number 3. Okay, now in the page number 3, what you should put? So obviously, as it is a document, you should give the list of contents that your documents will be having, right? So you will have list of content, like in our college days also, when while creating the, you can say, final report, right, project report, we used to create the project report like this, right? Like the cover page, then who are the persons involved in this project, who have authorized, who have given the authority, or you can say our project guide, then a list of contents, list of tables, like that. Okay, so here you'll have list of content. In this list of content, what are the things you should put? Obviously, I will write here list of content. Okay, so what are the basic contents that your DBR must have? First, summary of the project or your approach, you can write here. Summary of this report. Okay, summary of the report, I should write. Summary of the report. So whatever content you are going to put in this report, the gist you should write in this summary section. Okay, summary of the report. Then the second option that you should put, it will be introduction. Okay, it will be introduction. Now, what are the things there will be after in this introduction section? So in introduction, you should give a detailed idea about the location of the site. Okay, where you're gonna construct the building or the structure. Maybe you can take a picture also from the, you can say, Google Earth, and you can put it in the page. Next page, I will explain that later. So a location of the site, then you can put maybe general building information. General building information, I will explain it one by one. So let me just write it here first. General building information. Okay, then we will have building framing drawings. So building framing drawings. Okay, then we can have the codes. You can write about the codes and references that you are going to use for this project. Okay, codes and references. And then you can also write about the software that you are going to use. Softwares used. Okay, so these are the things there will be in the introduction section. So this is all about list of you can say content I'm writing. Okay, what are the contents that you should put in your DBR, and you should write in this list. I'm just writing the list first. Okay, after that I will explain one by one. So after that, after introduction, then we will have the second one, which is loading parameters. Okay, loading parameters. So in the loading parameter, obviously this is a very basic information. You will have dead and, sorry, let me write it properly. You will have dead load and live load. Then you will have seismic load. Then you have wind load. And if you have any other load, so you can write the other loads. Like if you are going to add the temperature loads or any other load like snow load. Or, okay, in some places if you are going to add the snow load, so they can write the snow loads and all, right? So maybe if you have some equipments, okay, so the vibration of the equipment you are going to add. So these are the things you can mention in the loading parameters. Okay, after that, after loading parameters, then we will have the structural criteria. So you can write this section as structural analysis and design criteria. Okay, structural analysis and design criteria. So in this, the first point that you can add is approach to structural modeling. Okay, approach to structural modeling. Then you can add the material properties. Okay, material properties. You can add the section properties. Then you can add the stiffness modifiers, or you can say property modifiers. So let me write it here: stiffness or property modifiers, if it is applicable. Again, if it is applicable, if required, or if any, let me write if any. As I'm talking about building structures, obviously you are going to add the stiffness modifiers. Okay, so stiffness or property modifiers. Then you can add the, you can say, clear cover to reinforcement. Okay, clear cover to reinforcement. So this is based on the you can say clear cover to reinforcement, obviously based on the code that you are using. Based on that you will be writing the clear covers. Okay, so clear cover to reinforcement. Then you are going to add load combinations. So I'm just writing in general what are the lists, then I will explain. Okay, so don't worry about it, I'll be explaining each of these points. So then load combination, and after that another point that you should add is the geotechnical report and foundation recommendation. Okay, so now why we should add the geotechnical report? Obviously we will be designing the you can say substructure also for the structure. So this geotechnical report and foundation recommendation will be getting from the geotechnical engineer or the geotechnical, you can say, who have done the assessment. So it should be added, like what are the fundamental parameters or fundamental recommendation given by the geotechnical engineer we have considered for our structural design. Okay, so in the geotechnical report and foundation recommendation you should write, or you should add the soil profile. Okay, not like very detailed information you do not have to give. Obviously we will have a separate report for this geotechnical data. So you just add the soil profile given by the, I can say, report, and then you can add the foundation recommendation which you are going to consider. Foundation recommendation, okay, which you are going to consider. Suppose the report recommended pile foundation, so what dia of pile you are going to use, and what is the, you can say, capacity, okay, compression capacity, lateral capacity, okay, then uplift capacity of the pile you are going to use. So these things you should write it in this last section. Okay, and you can add other data also if you want. So these are the basic data, basic information that you should add in your DBR. So this is the list you should write in this page number 3. Okay, if you have, like, you can also create a list of tables. If you have different tables, so you can create a list of tables. If you have, you can say, images, then you can if you have images, or you can say if you have drawings, you can also add the table of you can say number of drawings where you have added the page numbers and all. Okay, so these are the things you can add here in this list of content. Now let us talk about the list of contents that we have added. Obviously every content will have pages, right? We will write every single content in different pages. So the first one is summary of the report. That you should write by your own after creating all the things or after adding all the things. Obviously summary we cannot write, like at least I do not write the summary at the very beginning. After creating all the things, I used to write the summary based on the information I have added in the report. Okay, so the summary in the page number 4, let us add here. So page number 4, I do not know whether in a single page this content will be like you can finish this writing this all the content. So maybe it is page 5 or page 6. So I'm just writing the steps. Okay, so page 4 means the step 4, the next content you should add. So here it will be the page of summary. The page of summary you should write here. Okay, so summary of the project or summary of the report you should write here. Okay, then we will have the next page, and in this page we will start our introduction part. So introduction first. Okay, and you will be continuing this introduction. So let me just discuss this introduction part or this from here, from the list. So first we have location of the site. Okay, so what you should add in the page where you will be writing the location of the site. Obviously you will be writing at what place it is situated. Okay, you will be writing at what location it is situated, and you will be giving a image of from the Google Earth or Google Map. You can take a screenshot to make it more, you can say, attractive or like good to see. Okay, so you can add the images, you can point the location out, you can mark that location where you will be your project is going to happen. Okay, so location of the site you should write. Then general building information. So in this introduction we have location of site, we have discussed, right? Then we have general building information, general building info. So what are the things you should add in this general building info? So 2.1 I can write, or you can create a table also for this. So in general building info, the things you should add, actually, suppose it is a whole project of different blocks, maybe 4 or 5 blocks you have in this project. So you can write the project name, the block number. Okay, so you can write the block number. Okay, if you have several blocks, otherwise you can keep the block number 1 only, block number. Then you can write how many stories, so number of stories in each block. If it is single block, then you can write for block 1, and if you have multiple blocks, so number of stories for different blocks. Then you can add the typical floor heights, so you can create a table actually like this. Okay, so here you will be having the block number, here you will be having the number of stories and typical floor heights. Okay, so if you have single block, you can write block 1, so number of stories, so maybe suppose G plus 12 or maybe B plus G plus 15, like this. Okay, you can write like this. Typical story height, suppose you have given 3.2 for this, 3.6 for this, maybe 2.9 for this, like this. You can give the typical story height. Okay, and then you have to write the other information, like suppose you have a multi-room or the stair rooms of different heights, maybe you have service floors of different heights. So you just mention that the service floors, the ducts, you can say stair rooms and other, maybe basement, all these things will be the heights and all other considerations will be done as per the architectural drawing or as per the, you can say, final drawing that we have. Okay, so these are the basic information you can write in the general building info. Fine. Maybe you can also write like the duct sizes, the openings, everything will be considered as per the architectural drawing or as per the architect's recommendation. Okay, so all these things, after writing all these things, then we will jump into the building framing. So the next page we will add. Okay, it is under introduction only. Okay, so in an introduction we will have different pages. So maybe it will be one page, this will be another page. Okay, and maybe the next page under introduction. So I will write page 3 under introduction. So in this page 3, what we are going to add? So we are going to add the building framing. Building framing. Okay, so this building framing is nothing but you can add the drawings. So you just have to superimpose your structural framing that you have prepared on the architectural drawing, and then you just put those drawings for different floors. Maybe if when you are creating a high-rise structure, mostly the architect try to keep typical floors or typical story, you can say, information, and then different floors, maybe first floor and second floor will be different, the basement floors will be different, the terrace will be different. So for all the floors, what are the framing plan, the final framing plan you have created after the design or maybe after the analysis? Okay, so you need to put this framing. Okay, so even if you are not designing, obviously you will be deciding one framing. Like you can create this DBR after the design or before the design also. So if you are doing it before the design, so obviously what is the final framing that you have decided after talking with the architect or talking with the client, that framing you should superimpose in the architectural drawing, and you can add those drawings there, and you can I will write superimposed framing drawing, superimposed framing drawing. You should you can say insert there in this building framing page, and you can write different legends. Suppose you have some inverted beams, you have some, this thing is making issue today, I don't know why. Okay, let me just, okay, so yeah, so superimposed in framing drawing, you can put the legends where you have, suppose, inverted beams, maybe you have some sunken slabs. Okay, so you can give different you can say hatches, and you can write here maybe sunken slab. Okay, maybe you can give information about you can say mid-landing beams. If you have some non-structural wall, you can also write non-structural wall. Okay, so in the drawing you can give these legends, and you can mark the portion where you will be having these things actually in the framing. Okay, so the client or the person who will be checking the DBR will have a clear idea that in the framing what are the information you have added, okay, and what is going to be considered in the design. Fine. So this is all about my building framing. After that, you should write the codes and you can say references you are going to consider. So let me write in page 4. So there will be codes and references. Okay, so maybe you can write for loading, you have considered IS 875 part 1, 2, 3. So you can write one by one, part 1 and 2, part 1 for dead load, part 2 for live load, 875 part 3 for wind load. You can write IS 93 2016 part 1 for seismic load, right? Then you can also write maybe IS 456 2000 for design. Okay, SP 16 you can write also for design. Okay, design handbook it is. You can write other codes also like SP 34 for detailing of the members. So whatever code you are going to use, okay, so suppose you have you are going to design the pile foundation. So I think 2911, right? So IS 2911 or something like that. I forgot the code. So whatever code it is for the pile design or pile foundation design, okay, or maybe for the pile caps also. So you can add the codes, whatever code you are going to use here. And then references, suppose you are going to take a reference of any other book or any other, you can say, document. So you should list that document here in this codes and references page. Okay. So this is the codes and references. Then in the last page of this introduction section, so page 5, you should write about the softwares you're going to use. So softwares used. Suppose you have used eTabs, you are going to use, or you have used Safe, you have used Stat Pro, then maybe REFM. Okay, then maybe like whatever software you are going to use for the analysis and design. Okay, maybe RCDC. Fine. So you can also write the version actually. Here you should write the version, which version you are going to write, going to use. Okay, because obviously the results may vary version to version due to different changes or enhancements. Okay, so you should always write the version, which version you are using, because when your client or the person who will be vetting the design will be checking your model or your design results. So in that case, that person also should have that version of software. So suppose you have created the model in, or you have analyzed the model in eTabs version 16, where we do not have earthquake law, you can say code 2016. We have only up to 2002, and the person who is analyzing the structure, or you can say checking the structure, he has eTabs version 18. So he may ask you to add 2016 code, but you do not have that. Or maybe the thing can be the reverse also, that the person who is checking, he have the lower version and you have the higher version. So in that case, that model will not open there, right? So that's why you must mention the version of the software that you are using, so that they can also know about it and they can use the same software. Okay, so this is what you should add in the page number 5 as the software used, right? Then the next section we will start is the loading parameters. So the next section we will start is the loading parameters. So it is loading parameters. Now in this loading parameter, the first one we will have is dead load. Okay, so for that dead load, what are the things you will have? One thing is self weight. So obviously the self weight will be calculated by the software. So you can write like the volume multiplied by unit weight of concrete or unit weight of whatever material you are using. So you can write and you can give a general explanation about the self weight of the members, okay, or elements. Then you have the superimposed dead loads. Superimposed dead loads here. So superimposed dead load means the loads which are not the part of the structural system, but we are imposing it, right? Like it is not the part of the structural system by default. Okay, so we are imposing it. So like it can be wall loads. So wall loads means partition wall. Okay, let me write it here, partition wall. Wall load you can add. Then you may have floor loads. Okay, floor load means, let me write it properly, it should be floor finish loads. Floor finish loads. Now in this floor finish loads, in this wall load also you can categorize, okay, based on the wall thickness. Suppose you have 250 or 200 wall thick wall, you have 160 thick wall. So for different, let me write it 230, okay, 230, 160. So for different, obviously for different thickness of the wall, the load will be different. So you can calculate it and then you can write it here. You should write the full calculation actually. Then the floor finish load. Now in this floor finish load, you will have different rooms, right? Maybe for general rooms, you will have one floor finish. Maybe for the toilet and bathroom, so maybe the toilet. If you have sunken slabs, so obviously the superimposed dead load will be different. So the basic floor finish will be same. Then you should add the sunken load also, sunken filling load. You should add there, like whatever load you are going to you can say assign, you should write it here. Okay, so room wise you can write. Maybe you can also write the load, the terrace. So at the terrace, if you have like waterproofing, all these things you should add here in the terrace load. Okay, if you have the LMR, lift machine room, the load of the lift machine room you should add. If you have OHT, water tank, overhead water tank, you should add the overhead water tank load also. Fine. Okay, similarly for the live loads. So the live load from, you can say, IS 875 part 2, if you are using IS code or whatever code you are using for this, so you can write the code name. So now different zone wise, like for the bedroom and kitchen, some one loading. So here in this dead load, you can also add staircase load also. Staircase load also. Same in the live load, like the floor loads in this live load you can add for different rooms. Okay, for staircase area, for lobby, for terrace, for lift machine room, for OHT, whatever live load you are going to use, you can write it here. Fine. Then you will have the seismic load. Seismic load. Now in the seismic load part, we are not going to calculate the load because we are depending on the software for the seismic load calculation or assignment. So what are the basic input data you are going to give? You should write it here. Suppose you are using ETAP, so you'll be giving the importance factor. Okay, you'll be giving the response reduction factor. You'll be giving the time periods. Then you can also calculate the AH value actually for the static one. For dynamic one, you may not have any data from there because we'll be like directly using the software for the dynamic analysis. So you can write these things actually: seismic load, time periods and all. You can put in the seismic load part. In the wind load, so the wind load you can calculate manually, or you can say assign automatically from the software. So if you are doing the auto wind load, in that case, what are the inputs you have given for that? You can write it here. If you are calculating the wind load, like using the force coefficient method or pressure coefficient method, so you can give the explanation about the wind load calculation for your structure. Fine. So the loading parameters, and now suppose you have a temperature load. So how you have considered the temperature load, or suppose you have some vibration loading, so you can add all the vibration loading or the approach to add the vibration loading. So these things you should add. So it will be about other detailed information, you should write it here. Fine. So then we will get into the next part. So the next part is actually structural analysis and design criteria. Structural analysis and design criteria. I'm again telling you, this is the pre-analysis DBR. Okay, so after the analysis or after the design, you may have to add few more things, like what are the displacement, if it is below the, it is a permissible limit or not. Okay, so all these things you should write in the later part, but this is the pre-analysis DBR, so it is okay up to here only. So now in the structural analysis and design criteria, the first thing you should write is the approach to modeling. Approach to structural modeling. So here, what are the things you should write? Like, suppose you have considered the beams and slabs as lines. Okay, you have added the walls and slabs as shell. Fine. Next, now when the sunken slabs maybe are not modeled, but the loading is assigned for the sunken slab, so you can write this also. The inverted beams, maybe the inverted beams are not modeled as inverted, but it will be considered while designing it. So all these things, whatever approach you have done during the structural modeling or whatever assumptions you have done in the structural modeling, you should write. Like the basement, if you have basement walls, then how the basement walls are considered. So all these things you should write in the approach to structural modeling part. Okay. Then the second, we have material properties. Material properties. So in this, if it is a RCC structure, as we are talking about RCC building, so we will be writing the grade of concrete for different elements like beams, for columns, for walls, when structural walls, okay, for slabs. Fine. So what are the grade of concrete you have added? For maybe for the wall, you may have different thickness. For the slab also you may have different thickness. Okay, for the column also, so you can write it here. Then you can add the next thing, sorry, here, grade of steel. Grade of steel means rebar. Okay, so what are the grades you have used, you can write it here. Then next you can add the section property. Section property. So the section property means what are the sizes you have, final sizes you have considered. So the beam sizes, column sizes, walls. Okay, for different stories, obviously we will be reducing the wall size. So a story wise wall size you can write. You can write the slab thickness also for different areas, right? Otherwise, what you can do, you can club this thing also together. So you can create a table like this, where you will have, you can say, the structural elements. Okay, their section properties. Find the grade of concrete, grade of steel, like this. You can write a table and you can club these two actually. Fine. After section property, what we have, we are going to add the stiffness modifiers. So I think 1, 2 and 3. Material property is 2, so it is going to be 3 actually. Yeah. So after section property, we are going to add next, it will be property modifiers or stiffness modifiers. Property modifiers. So now this property modifier you should add for different elements. For beams, what are the property modifiers you have assigned? Like the A11, like you can write the F11, F22, F12. Like in the software, we're going to assign this property modifiers, right? Then M11, M22, M12, like this. So all these things you should write in a tabular format for beams, columns, slabs, walls. What are property modifiers you are going to use, that you should write in the tabular format. Fine. Then fifth is the clear cover. Fifth is the clear cover. Now when you are writing the clear cover, obviously you will be mentioning what code you have considered for deciding it, what is the fire rating you have considered for giving the clear covers. Then you can write whether the condition you have considered, like the weather condition, it is mild, it is moderate or extreme condition. Okay, that means the exposure condition. So the clear cover you will be giving based on the fire rating, based on the exposure condition. Okay, and you must mention the code that you have chosen for you can say choosing this data of clear covers for different elements. Obviously it will be for different elements, element wise. Okay, for beam, slab, column, walls, element wise you should write the clear covers. Okay, then we will come to the load combinations. We will come to the load combinations. In this load combination, you can divide it into two parts. One is serviceability combinations and ultimate or design combinations. Okay, serviceability combinations you can write all, then ultimate design combinations you can write all, and at the top you can give a title like what are the codes you have considered for you can say choosing this load combinations. Fine. So after finishing this page of structural analysis and design criteria, then we will jump into the geotechnical report and foundation recommendation. So the next is geotechnical report and foundation recommendation. So I will write here, it will be geotechnical report and foundation recommendation. So here in the geotechnical report, obviously I have already explained this. You just have to add the soil profile given by the report or the geotech engineer. So soil profile and the foundation recommendation that given by the geotech engineer himself or herself. Foundation recommendation. Because you will be doing the foundation or considering the foundation based on that only, right? So you should write these things here. So now you can improvise few things in your own way. Suppose we have this live load and dead load, right? So what you can do, suppose we have added this flow loads. Now different areas or different zones of the flow will have different SIDLs, right? So you can suppose we have this plan like this. Okay, and this area is having 2 kilonewton per meter square SIDL. This area is having 5. This area is having 1.2 suppose. So what you can do, you can just mark this area like this in different colors. And you can create a legend. It is giving 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. The green one is, you can say 2 kilonewton per meter square, and maybe the purple one is 5 kilonewton per meter square. So you can import or you can say insert the plan. You can edit these things, or you can add these hatches in the AutoCAD itself, or you can use some, you can say PDF editor where you can say use these colors in the different zones, and you can write these legends in the page. Okay, similarly you can do for the live load also. So it will, you can say, it will make your project report you can say more standard, right? So the more data you put, it will be more easy for the client or for the you can say who will be vetting your analysis or design. So it will be easy for them to check actually. Okay, and they will have less questions for you, right? So again, it is already always depend on how big the project is, what is the revenue you are going to get from the project. So based on that, obviously we'll be creating or we'll be putting our efforts, right? So based on the revenue we are going to get, based on that only we'll be creating the you can say DBR, or we'll be putting all the efforts. So obviously you need to keep that in mind also. Like if the revenue is very small, then obviously we are not going to add that much detail you can say in the DBR. So yeah, so this is how actually you can create a structural pre-analysis DBR. Okay, and you can then submit to the authority or to the client. Okay, so now what I have done, I can say explained all the points. Now you can create your own DBR for a small project, and you can start improvising it by your own. Okay, like adding some more components. And if you want me to add more components, obviously please comment down below, so that we can also add in future. If I am making a video on complete DBR making, so I can add those points also. So there are so many approaches. Every engineer has their own approach. I have just explained one general approach. So obviously you can improvise it by your like putting more data or in your own way. Okay, so I think this is it for this session. I hope this particular session will help you to have a clear idea about how structural DBRs are being created. Okay, and now you can start creating your own. Fine. So if you ask me that what about the DBR that we need to put, you can say submit after the design. So okay, in that case you need to give the stability checks. What are the stability checks you have performed? What is the result of those stability checks? You need to give like other checks also. Suppose you are designing you can say the structure or maybe the shear walls. So whether the shear walls are like crossing the limit of stress. So if it is crossing, then you have added the boundary elements, so that you need to write. Then you need to enter the typical design calculations also for beam, column, slabs, walls, and other structural elements if it is there. Okay, and maybe so you can take the screenshot of from the ETAP software, from the SAFE software. Obviously for the foundation system also you should add it in the DBR, right? So, and like you can add many pictures also, like in the list of comment. Suppose we have this building framing drawing, right? So in this part, once you have added the images of the framing, you can also add the 3D model that you have created. Or maybe in this place where we have this modeling approach, right, where we have added a modeling approach. Yeah, here in the structural analysis part, so where we have an approach to structural modeling. So after writing all this, you can add an image of the 3D model that you have created. Like you can add an image here of the 3D model. 3D model means the structural model. Okay, FEM model that you've created, you can add here, right? Suppose you have some separation joints. So in this part, you can also show the separation joint that you have given in the structural model. Or if you have not given, then just mention it that we have not given. We have created the structure separately. Like whatever approach you have considered or you have assumed, that you should write in the approach to structural model. Okay. So this is how now you can understand and you can improvise it by yourself. Okay. So this is it. I hope it will be very helpful to the beginners and those who are working in the field. And if you have any doubt regarding this, you can always ask me in the comment box, or those who are connected with me through social media, through Telegram, through WhatsApp. So you can always ask me your doubts. I will try to you can say solve your doubts as soon as possible. Thank you, and see you in the next video.